Now, the draconian national security law enacted by Beijing mandates surveillance and control over foreign entities and affects even non-residents. Now, recently, the national security law had been actively enforced. 2 days ago, an EU citizen was jailed under this law, and days earlier, a Polish journalist was detained and deported. We do have right now joining us Aleksandra Bielakowska, who has been harassed by the Hong Kong government under this national security law. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
So first, can you tell us what your work at the Reporters Without Borders are, and what were you doing at the time that drew the ire of the Hong Kong officials? What were you doing that warrants these type of harassment and deportation?
Yeah, thank you so much. So, as you may know, Reporters Without Borders is an international NGO. We are based in Paris, but we have bureaus and sections around the world. One of the sections that we have is actually in Taipei, where I'm based. And I've been working for the past 4 years as advocacy officer. And one of my tasks as advocacy officer is to take part actively in monitoring of the hearings and trials of press freedom defenders and journalists in the region, and specifically in Hong Kong. In terms of the why I was supposed to be in Hong Kong at the time, it wasn't actually our first mission to Hong Kong. We've been there, and myself, I have been there twice, 3 times if we count the one that I was detained in the past year. The reason for that was to monitor the hearing of 2 landmark hearings. One is the Jimmy Lai hearing that started in December, and the other one is of the now defunct media outlet Stan News, and this is the hearing that I participated in during the summer this year.
Right, and as I know, they've recently passed also a bill called Article 23 that mandates these.
Exactly.
A lot of these hearings can be closed doors and not open to the public. I'm also curious if you can briefly describe the sequence of the events during your detention, and did they even justify the detention and deportation?
Yeah, so to give you some background on it, indeed, they can close the hearings and the trials of the activists in Hong Kong. But in regard to Jimmy Lai and Stan News, actually, they were open to public. And this is why on 18 December, together with my colleague, Shatakshi Verma, she's our project and development manager, we entered the court to take part in the first trial of Jimmy Lai. We've been the only INGO in the courtroom at the time, together with numerous of diplomats from the democratic countries, as well as Jimmy Lai family. So it's again a bit surprising that right now they try to stop me from entering to Hong Kong. And in regard of what happened there, before when we were traveling to Hong Kong, we haven't seen first time we haven't seen any red flags. We could enter Hong Kong without any problems. We could meet with the partners. We could enter the court. The second time in December, actually, some red flags started to appear at the time. I'm pretty sure we haven't confronted people that did it to us, but that we've been at least twice followed. And during one of the meetings, we also have some proof to say that someone's trying to record and basically making notes from what we're doing. So it was the first flag at the time. But again, I could enter and leave Hong Kong without any issues in December. This time, however, the bureau director that was traveling with me crossed the border without any issues. However, when I was trying to cross the border, I was right away stopped. And then for the 6 hours, I was questioned, searched, moved from one room to the other. My belongings were very carefully searched. My body was searched. They asked me many questions. It's very difficult for me who was dealing with my case too, because there was one official that was specifically in charge of dealing with it. But at some point when I was put in the one room only specifically opened for me, it was very obvious. There was around 12 people dealing just with me. People in plain clothes calling to some people outside of the airport. So it could be also plainclothes officers of National Security Police. I cannot give 100 clear answer to that and say if it was really the fact, but still it was quite concerning.
Right, and 2 days ago, we saw the first European citizens actually being jailed in Hong Kong under this national security law. So I would like to draw that into your personal experience and ask you, what do you believe that these actions signify about the current state of rule of law in Hong Kong?
deteriorating situation, and this is something actually we have been seeing for the past 3 years. This is not the first incident that are happening. There were at least two huge media outlets, mainstream media outlets, that were reporting on the current affairs. Stan News Apple Daily forced down by the government. While our travels to Hong Kong, we've been speaking to the media on the ground. Many journalists have been followed, monitored, surveilled by the government. Some huge international media are on daily basis receiving some letters from the government saying that what they report are lies. There's problem for journalists to even continue work because it's very difficult for them to get the sources because everyone is right now afraid of speaking to the journalists. So situation is really deteriorating. What will happen with the domestic national security law? Because right now we have two national security laws in Hong Kong. First one implemented by Beijing 3 years ago. The new that you just mentioned was just passed a few weeks ago. It's very hard to say how they will use this law, but of course, it might be even more draconian, taking into consideration what type of articles we can find there, the fact that for 2 weeks you might not be even charged with the crimes and they can keep you in detention without giving simple reasons for that. And to go back to my case, actually, even for me, they haven't told me why I'm being detained and then deported. I asked 3 times the question, what is the reason? The only reason that was given to me was the immigration, which is no reason whatsoever. So even for myself right now, it's very difficult to me to say if it's because of my work and the fact that I was joining the Jimmy Lai Trail. Is my social media appearance, is the fact that I've been representing RSF and working on Jimmy Lai case for the past 4 years. It's very, very difficult to say what are the real reasons for my detention and deportation.
Right, and last but not least, I would want to ask you personally, will this incident influence your approach to reporting these kind of politically sensitive topics and in these environments?
So for us, to also maybe clarify, I used to be a journalist. I used to work as a correspondent for a Polish press agency from Taiwan. But right now I'm working as a capacity of Reporters Without Borders. And of course, it's not changing our stance on things. We'll be still monitoring what is happening in Hong Kong. We'll be still advocating, watchguarding what is going on with Jimmy Lai hearings, with other cases of journalists being harassed and detained in Hong Kong. We just need to be even more vocal than, like, we've been always vocal, but I think what is very important for the world to really see what is happening right now. RSF counts around 10 press freedom defenders and journalists detained right now in Hong Kong. The press freedom index of Hong Kong has fallen to 140 from 18th in the scope of the past 20 years. So it's very, very worrying.
And that's why your work is very important, to make sure that this information is still going out and this area doesn't become a vacuum when it comes to information. Thank you so much for your great work and really appreciate having you here on TVP World. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.